Yo, peace, yo. Peace, man. So, just letting you know, man, we getting set up. Know what I mean? Getting set up. I don't know. Right now I'm stuck. I don't know if I want to do podcasts. I don't know if I want to do like a radio talk show. I don't know. Yeah. I want to like do these book clubs, and it may be a accumulation of all of it. Last year, 20 and 21, I was doing like this, like a reading club. We was reading these books. We read Baba Fuller's book. You know what I mean? About what he did with the hair empire before he passed that torch to Dudley. We read, man, what did we read? We was reading Retire Young, Retire Rich, you know what I mean? So yeah, we getting into this knowledge, dog. I know a lot of stuff. I done seen a lot, you know what I mean, just with my indigenous travels throughout the Cherokee Nation. You know what I mean? It's a lot. It's so much stuff that like I can't even like. I just owe it to my people to just continue staying behind the scenes with this work. However, I would like to share the information with y'all so that like people can, because we all my people was in the Cherokee Nation. They just don't realize that they in the Cherokee Nation. So a lot of this stuff be hidden in plain sight when we look over it, because, you know what I mean? Like we don't look like how I look, my nigga. The Cherokee don't look like this, you know what I mean? Like when I went up to the Lakota Museum up in, look up the Lakota Museum in Chamberlain, South Dakota. We went up there, right? Now, mind you, this is a Catholic organization. So we went up there, dog, and we had brought 1975. And we was telling them on the cover that this woman Lakota, she got Lakota blood. You know what I mean? Like how they said they just need one drop of our blood. Well, we got one drop Lakota blood, you know what I mean, in our family. So that makes us naturally Lakota, because like they say, the melanated woman, the ancient Mobitis woman carried the DNA for all of the different phenotypes, you know what I mean? So we went up there and they was just looking like, y'all don't look like the Lakota, because y'all know how the Lakota look, the long hair with the, you know what I'm saying, the braid and all that. Now, mind you, my hair can be braided too. However, it's like they don't look like this. When you see the American Indian, they don't look like this, and that's the gap. I'm coming up with a formula now to like restore what was lost, like a restoration formula. So like what you would do, right, is like you would take what wasn't lost. Like, for example, I wish I had my wonderful Ethiopian books, because she talks about 1700 BC, 2022 BC. You feel what I'm saying? Like the Arabian Nights period, the great literature. You know what I mean? It said that your wealth was measured in literature. You know what I mean? Measured in literature, right? Literature, literally. You know what I mean? All of this literature. Everywhere you look is literature. Literature all around us. You feel me? So, we had like great literature writers, orators, in the Olympics. You feel me? And the ones who won had they scripts written in gold. You know what I mean? And stored in Mecca. So, what you do is like, okay, you see that over there, but then over here, all that stuff missing. You feel me? We just get little bits and pieces about the indigenous Americans, and we don't even tie that into us, because guess what? You know what I mean? The same people that was over there was over here. It's the same bloodline. You know what I mean? So it's like how I was a writer in Tennessee or in North Carolina. I'm a writer in Kentucky. I'm a writer in Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? I'm a writer in Georgia. No different. You know what I mean? actually being in the different um geographies creates different literature based off of what's around me. You know what I mean? Based off of what's around me. So, and I'm just I'm a fiend for education. I'm a fiend for learning about education on rainy days, dog. Like the setting gotta be right. You know what I mean? You got the light, you know what I mean? You gotta get your lighting right. You know what I mean? Keep the lights out, you know what I mean? Have the windows open and you teach, you know what I mean? On rainy days on the weekend, man. That's the best way to learn information. I grew up in it. My auntie was a principal. You know what I mean? And so I fell in love with education when I used to go into her classroom at Kennedy, you know what I mean, off of Highland Avenue. You know what I mean? She'd invite me in her classroom, and then I would, you could smell the wood on the desk. You feel what I'm saying? And so like you could smell the chalk on the chalkboard. So like I always been a education junkie. Ironically, I used to get in trouble in school because I talked out too much, but they probably should have listened to what I was saying. You know what I mean? They said Napoleon Hill talk about in Outwit and the Devil that the students is really the teachers and the teachers is really the students. You know what I mean? They got the game backwards. That's Outwit and the Devil, yo. You know what I mean? I turned a lot of people on to that book, man. Outwit and the Devil. That joint was written in 1938, but it came out in 2011. How that work? What you think they trying to tell you? You know what I mean? Well, one thing, let's not, I don't like to go too far on the conspiracy theorists and all that. I would just look at it from the perspective of a writer. It's like, okay, I can write books now that can release when my great grandkids is 31. You know what I mean? So that way, like, if they need something, they know my name. You feel me? It's like if Drasilia Houston came out with a book in 2022. You feel what I'm saying? Do you know the anticipation that would stir up? I would want to go rush and get that before I would go see the, you know what I'm saying, the Warrior Queen movie. You know, like respectfully. You know what I mean? Because we know who the author is. That's the source. The source is more important than the actors, dog. You know what I mean? The writers. Rules the writer's mindset. And then it's just like the United States. You got the legislative branch, you know what I mean? And you got the judicial branch. I meant you got the legislative and then you got the representative. You know what I mean? The executive, my fault. So the executives is like your actors, but the legislators is the ones that's drawing up the law. You know what I mean? And so it's like with writing, with film, you have to present your writs to, you know what I mean, a team. And then they have to read over it. And they be like, man, nah, I don't want you to say that. You know what I mean? This is how the book process works. When you come to writing a book, it's the same thing. You have to have a meeting of the minds. You know what I mean? You write like me, the best way I can describe how to write and when I became a great writer is I just let what was on my mind flow out as quick as possible. Even if like it was something that I would have to put a pen in and go back to later, I would just scribble it on the side and then keep my flow of consciousness out so I don't forget. And then when I would go back, I go back and like take that manuscript and build on it. You know what I'm saying? Build on it, add subject matters, add like in the alarm clock specifically, I was talking about Goldman Sachs, Marcus Goldman, right? You know what I mean? And I use that analogy because I'm like, all right, we see where, like, my biggest thing was you got all of these, quote unquote Jewish ran and operated companies, but where is somebody from our community that look like us, that got their hair rough like this, that say that they they inherited Goldman Sachs? You feel what I'm saying? Inherited Goldman Sachs. Know what I mean? And we have a corporation where it's like, all right, you don't come in under the W-2, you come in under the W-9, you individual taxpayer, you know what I'm saying? Like, you coming in as a 1099 contractor to build up your branch, you know what I mean? You coming in, you getting the nutrients like how my mama did it in 1975. She was working with alongside Conrad independently so that she could build her clientele for when she got on her own. You follow what I'm saying? Where are those at? You know what I mean? On the grand scheme of things, where is the niggas that's working for the self? You know what I mean? Like when you work for the self, it's not about working for the self. It's about a spiritual journey that you go on. You know what I mean? You learning of the self. Cause it's like when you had to depend on yourself, now you know how, you know, your powers. So, yeah, man. So right now I'm reading Wonderful Ethiopians and I'm taking my time with it. Like it's actually highlighted, it's actually noted. You know what I mean? Like right now we're on chapter 10, the literature, you know what I mean? The great literature, because it's like, you know, our literature, we were the poets, we were the art, you know, we just spoken word masters. This is hip hop. You know what I mean? They said that we had lyrics so fire back then that even the Pope would motherfucking enjoy that shit. She said that he couldn't recite it though, like how we motherfucking came up with it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, deep ends on the deep end, but we always gonna win. You use the pen to keep us from the pen. How ironic. All this came from within, and this off the dome. Yeah, yeah. My pen is my chrome. I inked the page. And that's the murder scene. I inked the page, and that's the murder scene. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm nice with my rich, but I look mean. Y'all talking about the dirty Moors, but I'm really clean. I'm something that they ain't never seen. That's why chapter 1 in the alarm clock called the unforeseen. Woe to those who can't seek. So yeah, man, that was really I couldn't go to my notes, so I just had to come up with something off of the dome. You know what I mean? So I am hip hop, man. You know what I mean? And I was just thinking when I was reading this wonderful literature, man, like I was like, yo, I'm reading about wonderful literature written by somebody who is a wonderful literary. You know what I mean? This was published in 1926, so you know she probably was cooking that up in 1915, 1912. You feel me? So it's like, you know, I'm sitting there reading and I'm like, you know what, man? You know, the way my mind work, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, we can take hip hop and then we could take the lyrics, like, you know what I mean? We take a KRS-One, you know, song, and now we breaking down his lyrics and we studying these subject matters that he's talking about in his lyrics, and then we take the horns out and now we studying the history of the horns, and then we take the drums out and we learning about the history of the drums, and then now you got the music class and you got literature class, and then the literature class over here learning the literature and the history behind the literature, you know what I mean? And we learning from chapter 10, Wonderful Ethiopians, and we doing a comparative analysis to, you know, modern hip hop, and then you take the music instruments, and now the kids in the music class is doing a recital from the, you know what I'm saying, the lyrics, the samples, you feel me? And so now you got the kids over here doing the oratory, like how Dr. Ingram used to do it once at Salem State, you know what I mean, in February. You know, you bring your literature, it could be anything. You could quote the Bible. I quoted my Book of Rhymes. You feel me? You know, man, that was a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is education. This is what the community is missing, because guess what? Like, you could take the killers, you could take the gangbangers, you could take the thieves, you could take the doughboys, the corner boys, you could take the kingpins, you could take everybody that's causing havoc on the street, right? And you put them in the classroom, you know what I mean? And you get them to break down hip hop lyrics. And then now you tie that into the ancient history and you show them that they were the ancient poets, you know what I mean? Like, we always go to the pharaohs and kings and pharaohs. Well, the kings and pharaohs were actually poets too. You know what I'm saying? And the common people were poets. And what they had was I think a lion. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm hip hop. It's written, dog. You know, so we gonna go here real quick. It's Latin for Americans. You know what I mean? The second book. You know what I mean? These are actual textbooks, dog. So we got 500 lessons in here, but I gotta go to the one that represent me. You know what I'm saying? I'm out for poets to represent me. Say what? It says a common practice of the scholars, the 7 wise men of Greece, of iniquity was the drawing up of lists. So just kind of think of the Olympics. You know what I mean? How you got the swimming Olympics, you have the track, you know, track and field, you got boxing, you got basketball, you got soccer, football, you know what I mean? But what I was reading about in Drusilla was like they ended with the Mohammedan era with these Semitic, you know, Arabians, because they wasn't the original Arabians. They got rid of the literature, you know, competitions and stuff like that. So this is talking about that. It say, look, it says we have, so just think about sports, man, like literature, sports. It says that common practice of the scholars of iniquity was the drawing up of lists called canons of persons considered outstanding in their field, right? As we had a hall of fame, thus there has been preserved for us the list of the 10 Attic orators and the 9 lyric poets and the 7 wise men, dog. Come on, dog. So now you got the orators, you got, you know what I mean? So that's Hove. Hove write his shit, so he's a poet, you know what I mean? And he's a philosopher, the 7 wise men, you know what I mean? Here's one of the version of the names of the 7 wise men. What they're saying is supposed to have been made them famous. You know what I mean? Like, Hov said, we not them corner boys, we just corner boys in the corner office. You know what I mean? Many of these were politicians or poets, as well as philosophers. All of them lived between 620 and 550 BC. You got some of their sayings was, too many workers spoil the work. To go bond is to go ruin. Know thyself, you know what I mean? But you know that's ancient, dog. You feel me? You know that's ancient. Nothing in excess, you know what I mean? Moderation is the chief good. Forethought in all things, you know what I mean? So, literature, you know, my wonderful Ethiopian book, you know, I would pull it out and show you everything, but it's in the other room and I don't feel like getting up. I just wanted to literally just come on here and say, like, you know, we gonna have, I want to use my vocals, you know what I mean? Like, so whether it's for radio, whether it's one of the things I thought about was like actually reading through these books, but then like taking our time with it, you know what I mean? So it may take me a year to get through a book because we actually not actually reading every word, but we taking these subject matters and having dialogue, you know what I mean? So actually having the audience to come in and, you know, they can ask questions, they can bring in their input, you know. That's one of the things, like these great books, like Indian Givers is one, the history of Winston Salem, you know what I mean? I had to put on for my home city. We got so much knowledge, and that's the thing. A lot of these counties that y'all are in have a wealth of, you know, information, but is if we don't pick it up and put our energy and our frequency on it, that joint just gonna be stagnant, you know what I mean? And that's what they've been doing, is rewriting history for a very long time, you know. So we have to write, like, you know, like even with with the law and religion go hand in hand, because it's like you can have what you call them people, like the people who wrote the Bible wasn't actually the people who was written about in the Bible. It was written by witnesses. You know what I mean? So you can have observers with you 24/7 just writing down what they see in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like these babies getting taken away. You know what I mean? All of that stuff needs to be recorded in the modern Bible. You know what I mean? And so that's what essentially these family Bibles were. You know what I mean? It was the lineages and what happened to them. Like, you know, my great grandfather was shot and murdered. You know what I mean? So, like, that's in the archives of the family. You feel me? So now I never met him. You know what I mean? Because that was in the 1930s. You know what I mean? But this is my grandfather's father. You know what I mean? So like that's, you know, you record all of that. That's the law. And now you derive the law from the actual, you know, the epistles, the written text, the testimonies and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So religion is very important, and that's where your family come into play. You know what I mean? So your religion is really your family, and then the families come together, you know what I mean? And now you have a tribe. You know what I mean? So now the family heads come together, you know what I mean, the church, you know, at the church, because you record everything at the church, and we not just talking religion, we just talking about how it's supposed to be going down. So it's like your family got its family lineage and family history book, you know what I mean? I'm in my Empress's family history book, you know what I mean? They joint about that thick, you know what I mean? And it got a lot of history tying them back, you know, way back. And so we in it now because of our son, you know what I mean, and our future born child, which will be here any day now, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, dog. Raw and uncut is cute, man. You know what I mean? It's cute, so I'm just letting y'all know what's coming, dog. So like, yeah, you take those family books, you record it in your church for your household, you know what I'm saying? And them chambers and them archives, you lock it up, and then you couple that with the other church, and now all of the families come together at the church, and now what's that? That's the tribe, you know what I'm saying? So now the tribe, you got the tribal council, and then you get the elders, matriarch from each family head to come in. Now you got the motherboard, and now the motherboard that's like your, you know what I'm saying? That's like your legislation, you know what I mean? That's your Congress, you feel me? So now it's like you got the executive, who gonna be the chief good, you know what I mean? You got the chief good, that's the executive, you know what I mean? The executive branch, and the executive branch gonna have his treasury, it's gonna have his secretary, right? You know what I mean? And then it's gonna have his ambassadors, it's gonna have his, you know, his fleet, it's gonna have his sheriffs, you know. That's your army, you know what I mean, your coat of arms and shit. And then you got your general republic, you know what I mean, that's your body politic, you know, and they voting for the executive board. And then, you know, then you have your motherboard, you know what I mean, you let the people choose that, because that's they matriarch, you know what I mean. Like, I don't move unless my grandma tell me to move. You got people that's moving like that still to this day, you feel me? But that's how it's organized. And so now you have all of this stuff recorded in your archives, in your church. Now you know who you are. Now you have your lineage that can back that up. So it's very important to keep the records. You got to keep the records straight. It takes a lot of discipline and practice. That's why we don't do it. You know what I mean? So we just stick to saying Christ. You know what I mean? We just gonna just say it was Christ. Christ the reason. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Oh, how I love calling your name. Oh, Jesus. But really, Jesus is telling you that I created, you know what I'm saying, that I created every man equal, and Christ is inside of all of us, you feel what I'm saying? So therefore, you got to record this story of Christ that ain't been told, you feel me? So, peace, man. I'm off here, yo. You know, peace to literature. We bringing literature back. We gonna bring the writers back, you know what I mean? Because I know it's in them. I know it's in them, so my goal is to bring it out. That's to educate us to bring out, you know what I mean? So we're gonna make literature fun again. You know what I mean? So that's how it's gonna be, man. You know, so peace, 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 peace. Peace.